This one. I think that this one has a record limit. Okay, good. What are we going to talk about, by the way?
Yeah, we'll soon find out.
So, Austin, Texas.
Uh-huh.
So you've been here, what did you say, about 6 years?
6.5, I think, yeah.
I mean, so I'm picking up, some people might not know this, but I'm figuring you're probably not originally from Texas.
Yeah, you can't tell by my Texas slang. Unfortunately, talking of that, when I post videos, my friends in England are like, lose that stupid accent. Because I'm slowly getting a twang. Like,
okay, really? Okay.
So, but I do sound British, hopefully. Yeah, before I MC at events, I have a quiet word with myself to be more pronounced with proper English. Because I start to like, what do I say, hallway rather than corridor. You know, just like things like that. Or dance, and I'm like, no, it's dancers. Like, yeah.
So you grew up in the UK,
Mm-hmm.
yeah? And
yep.
so, how'd you end up in Texas?
Good question. And do you know, it's interesting. I never wanted to leave London. Like, I was a professional dancer in England.
So you were in London? Okay.
Yeah, in London. And I was a professional dancer. I met my now wife, Susan Kirkland, she's a pretty good dancer.
She's all right.
So, and then she lived here. And I was coming to the end. I'd back and danced from about 17 to like 26 for different singers, pop stars and stuff. And I was getting bored of the selling myself every day. Every different day was either a meeting, even if you had got the job, it was a meeting where you had to be on point and you had to, or you were potentially pitching for a job, selling yourself again.
So what style of dance was this primarily?
So back in dancing we call it commercial dance. It's mainly hip hop, mainly. But I mean, I danced for Kylie Minogue for 6 years, which was contemporary. Like the joke is, whatever you need, I'll do. Like that's like, oh, we need you to roller skate dressed as a monkey. Okay, I can do that. Like, so that's the.
Please tell me you have a video of it.
Yeah, it really is one of those things. You just say yes, and then you learn to do it later as a backing dancer.
Commit first, figure it out later.
Yeah, right. Which is right. So that was but mainly solo kind of hip hop stuff is funky.
I saw something where you were with Taylor Swift at one point too.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming that's not hip hop.
Yeah, well, it was for Blank Space. Actually, this was kind of an interesting one. I had said I was retiring, and an agent called me and said, hey, Taylor Swift is doing a performance at the Brits, which is a big TV show. She's looking for 10 backing dancers. Do you want to do it? And I was like, I've already said I'm not going to dance anymore, but like Taylor Swift's phenomenal.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, and I was like, actually, I'm not going to do it. And they went, well, maybe she needs a boyfriend. And I thought it was a joke because like, you know, her blank space is always another boyfriend. And then anyway, so I was like, yeah, I'll do that. And the next day they said, oh no, they do want you as the love interest. So that was really funny because I wasn't sure it was real until I got there and they were like, this is your love interest. So I got to like hang with Taylor Swift for like half a day, and all the backing dancers that I should have said yes to being were just looking at me like, you asshole. Like, yeah.
You know, many years ago, Rose and I, when we were living in Nashville, Tennessee, we saw this audition for, have you seen the TV show Nashville? I think it was on ABC.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so they had this audition, they need country dancers. I was like, well, we do that. We live in Nashville. Okay, so we're gonna go try out. We went to this tryout and there's a bunch of, you know, cowboys in their cowboy hats and stuff, and they have everybody dance, and then the producers for the show said, we really love you guys, but we can't use you. Oh. I was like, really? Like, I thought we were, you know, we're pros, best one here. So, well, that's, the thing is like, you look like pros.
Yeah.
What we want is the average bar dancer, you know, arm over the shoulder, twirling each other around. But we really like you guys, so we have a place for you guys. So we're gonna shoot tomorrow. We want you guys to come back. We want to put you guys, we want to figure out a way to put it. So we show up the next day, they hand us a folder, and at the top of the folder it says, attractive couple making out. So literally for like 7 hours, we kissed for 7 hours straight. You know?
Like, so, thank goodness we came to this audition.
It's like the best job ever.
That's brilliant.
So, but you went from hip hop and then that sort of thing, and then so you do a lot of obviously West Coast swing, but now you're getting more into country and stuff. But you did line dancing and stuff too, right?
Yeah, so it's all really come full circle. So I was like, I danced my whole life. I loved dancing. I wanted to be Michael Jackson, you know, MC Hammer. Like that's Breakdance the movie when I was 6 years old was my thing that got me into dancing. But in England at the time, there was kind of Latin dance, like classes, like
salsa?
Yeah, salsa, that sort of stuff. Freestyle, which is like a disco dance kind of thing. But then I would do my rock and roll class or whatever it was, and then afterwards was a line dance class that my teacher taught. And they were dancing to really cool stuff, like, you know, like funky songs. It wasn't just country stuff, but it was cool stuff. And I just fell in love with it. And then you go, oh, there's a whole competitive circuit of line dance, which is then how I got involved with the UCWDC. So I competed in that, and I still say to this day, everything I learned as a dancer in classes, the line dance classes was what got me to be able to be a backing dancer, because you would have to do a cha-cha, then you would have to be able to do a funky one, then you would do this.
I think a lot of people don't really understand the discipline of competing in, like you said, because you got to dance a waltz, right? So you got a smooth dance, you got to dance a cha-cha, so you got Cuban motion, then you got a two-step, and you've got, you know, nightclub, you've got all these different things. So like when people compete in like American rhythm, American style Latin dancing, there's Cuban motion pretty much throughout.
Yes.
Like you're not, you know, dancing a waltz 1 minute and whatever. And so the challenge is definitely real.
Yeah.
And it's the same way with line dancing, because they have your rise and fall, and then they have the Cuban and all that stuff too.
I mean, fortunately, even though they didn't expect you to do it as well as they do now, which we might get onto later. But the UCWDC stuff now, when I go in there, and it's like, oh, they're trying to literally do ballroom waltz, and I say trying, but they're requesting you to do that, and it just isn't line dancing anymore. So,
well, okay, so here's one thing that I've talked a lot about. So you came into country, UCWDC, when it was kind of at its peak, like at late 90s, early 2000s, where you went to Worlds, and it was, I competed at Worlds in 2000.
Okay,
so,
I was there. Yeah.
So, you know, it's obviously shrank quite a bit. I mean, let me ask you this. What do you think has happened in the last 20, 22 years since that period of time where it's kind of dipped?
I think, so it's funny you say that you were there, because I always talk to people about when you went in there, the guys dance like guys, they dance like, and I'm going to use like a Britishism, like that sounds ignorant, but like they dance like cowboys, but really freaking good two-steppers or really good waltzers or whatever it is. And like they dance like men, and the girls spun a lot and they looked phenomenal. And now it's gone so trained or so technical, it's isolating or alienating, I guess. So there's no feeder. Whereas our feeder, the feeder for UCWDC should be the bar scene. Anyone that's really good in the bar scene should go, oh, I now want to push on and do this. But I always say, if you walk into a room, into a competition, you can't tell what you're watching, there's a problem. And I would say that you walk into a country comp and you'll go, why are these ballroom dancers wearing hats? Or why are they wearing boots? And it's, I think, me personally, obviously I've been away for 20 years and I know I've come back recently. It's changed a lot, so it's probably a bit more jolting. But I would say that's the problem, because it probably, like you dance, I've seen you dance like a geezer.
Like a guy.
Yeah,
like a
guy.
geezer?
Yeah, like a guy.
I think geezer means old guy here.
Oh, no,
I am
like
older than you.
No, like a geezer's like a bloke. Like, you know, like, you know, and it looks good and it looks strong, and it's not about masculine and feminine, it's just about the initial dance. Like I still watch videos from like Sam and Denise Miller, like doing their waltz and stuff, doing like, and it's just phenomenal, you know? So I think maybe we're losing that where but the business model of introducing more dances, more technique is good for teachers. So like that's where we're...
Well, so I mean this conversation, and you and I have not had this conversation, just so you guys know. We've not had this conversation before we sat down. And I agree with you. Like, so you go to one of these events now and you look at it, it's like, it's not really country.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything to me, or it doesn't resemble a better version of what's happening in the dance halls, which I figured it should. But I'm the same with everything. It's quite funny because I come from like a funky hip hop background or whatever you want to think of it as. But I still like the traditional stuff, like West Coast swing. I like the West Coast swing to look like West Coast. I don't like the term modern swing. I don't like the term, you know, it's West Coast swing,
right.
you know. So line dance was great for me. UCWDC was great for me. I just think it's a shame it's pushing so far away from the core of what it is.
It seems like UCWDC has gone to a pro-am model. They've mimicked the ballroom world, and it's never going to work. You know, so I've had this conversation so many times, and so now you're dipping your toes into the event field, right? So I mean, I appreciate you invited Rose and I to come out, and you've got an event coming up next month.
Yeah, and this really is. My goal, my bigger picture, or my aim is to bridge, or maybe not even bridge the gap between bar and UC, but give that product that you and I are both talking about, which I believe the bar dancers deserve, might be the wrong word, but should aspire to. Like, let's do a really good event with teachers that actually are really, really good, right, without offending anyone. You know, you're the best in the business. Gary and Susan come in like world champions. Bernie and Sloan, world champions. You know, they're not bar dancers that have learned, which are still great, but you've got a different level of experience, let's be honest. So that's my goal, and it's specifically bar dance. Whereas if you go to other events that are country events, when you go to the two-step class, it might be an amalgamation of the UCWDC style. This is going to be tips.
Let me ask you this, not to interrupt you. So, but you still go to some of the dance halls here?
Yes,
right?
yeah, I'm going tonight.
So, when was the last time you went out to a country dance bar and saw someone dancing a cha-cha with Cuban motion?
Yeah, I haven't. Yeah,
the thing. Anyway, it was when I first started. Like, you would see that.
Yeah.
So I love what you're doing, and it's the Austin Country Jam.
Yes.
Yeah. So I love that because you're getting pros coming, but you're appealing to the social dance side of it, and you're trying to bring these two, because you've got, what's happened, I think, is you've got these two worlds that have split, and I've got a lot of theories as to why it is. You know, having those two crowds coming together and then pulling the bar scene and then pulling also the traditional style pros together. Yeah. I think that is what's going to make it work. I think that's what's going to continue to elevate country dance back to a lot of people say, oh, it used to be like this. It used to be so great back in the 90s. There were so many people. It was so much better back then. And we had Brooks and Dunn's and we have, all this stuff. But this type of thing that you're doing is what's going to really elevate that to the next level. But you're really limited on space, right? So get your tickets, because like you got room for...
We've got room for about 150. So we're kind of using different venues for this first one, which is kind of fun as well. The first night is a studio-based night, and then the workshops are in this studio, Go Dance, all of Saturday. Then we all go to Mavericks Buda on Saturday night. Because one concern of mine about running an event in Austin was Mavericks is phenomenal. Like, it's such a fun night.
I've heard so much stuff. I've seen so much stuff about it. I just haven't been able to go yet.
It's like incredible. So, I mean, no matter how good a party we can run somewhere, that's going to be better. Right. So I was like, we need to go there. So we're doing an outing there on the Saturday night, and then on the Sunday we're going to a really cool place in the Domain.
That's gonna be a crazy night at Mavericks too. I mean, you got your regular crowd, and then you've got an extra 150 people from all over, whatever, and just taking over.
Just going down.
It's gonna be nuts.
It's gonna be a blast.
So the pros you've got teaching. I mean, Rose and I will be teaching some, right? And then you've got Gary and Susan.
Yep.
Sloan and Bernie.
Yes.
And then
Adia's myself and Emily. Yeah, I forgot myself and Emily.
Yeah. Okay, so Rose and I do a tour every year, right? Mm-hmm. And so some of the events we go to will have 250 people. Mm-hmm. I mean, you only have space for 150 people for this whole event. But not only do you get Rose and I, which you're getting 250 people just for Rose and I, for 5 hours. You've got you and Emily, you've got Gary and Susan, and you've got Bernie and Sloan, and then Adia, like all in the same place.
Yes, all in the same place, teaching constantly. On the Saturday, I think there's 6 hours kind of back-to-back workshops with a lunch break, competitions in between. So, and as well as all of that, one of my taglines of it is bringing everyone together to get to know each other and have fun. You know, so it's not just about bam, bam, bam. I also want lots of time for social stuff where we can all hang and you know, we can use the studio space to catch up and chill.
But so this is Go Dance, and there's two locations.
Two locations. This is the north one in North Austin, and the south one.
What side of town is this on?
We're north. north. And then South Austin is in the south side of town.
All right, got it.
Yeah,
okay.
And this is slightly smaller, but it's still huge. This is a great studio.
You've got a lot of really high-level dance talent
Yes.
in Austin.
And also the thing that I noticed when I came here was everyone's friends. It's just a very supportive community, and everyone gets on, which is good.
Yeah. So they get on. That's not something. I normally say we get along. Get on means something very different.
Not everyone gets on.
Everyone gets it on here. Glenn, I appreciate you hanging
got
out
it.
with
Thanks
me.
for coming to Austin and seeing me.
Mind if you give me a tour around real quick?
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so this is outside Go Dance, so let's go in and check it out. So you'll enter this way, there's loads of different entrances, but you'll see the studio when we go in. It's a super cool studio. So we'll come down here. You get a sneak peek at one of the workshop rooms in here. Ricardo's teaching some tango in there at the moment. Now, this whole room is our main ballroom, and we're gonna get a big backdrop. It's gonna be awesome. We're gonna get all the lighting set up. I want it to feel like an event rather than a dance studio. So this is our front entrance for Go Dance. This will be where you guys get checked in. All the tickets will be here. And this is the main space, which is awesome. So this room here is this is where you'll be learning from the best in the world, quite literally. And we've got the 2 side rooms, so 3 workshops could be running at once. This is an awesome studio as well in here. All with great sound systems, great lighting. As I say, that one's gonna be decorated, gonna be our main room. And this is where the magic will happen from a workshop point of view. And yeah, it's just gonna be a blast. Just think 150 dancers, all with the same goal, which is to have fun and get better and have a blast for the whole weekend. This is the place to be in the middle of October.